guys, and welcome back to another movie review. So today we are doing one that some of you may not even know exists. So for those of you who are familiar with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the one from 1964, the Rankin and Bass one, not the one from the 40s, were you aware there was a sequel? And actually, there was two. Three if we count the non-Rankin Bass one that came in the 2000s. But we're just here to talk about Rudolph's Shiny New Year. So this I knew about since I was a little kid. I think I first saw this movie when I was about like 6 or 7 years old, and I was so stoked that there was actually another Rudolph movie, because Rudolph is my favorite of the different Christmas characters. I always related a lot to him. So finding out he has another adventure, oh my god, this is the best! And then the music in it is just fire. But plot-wise, basically, I think it's supposed to take place right after the events of the first movie, even though this movie was made in 1976. So, you know, over a whole decade later, besides the point, movie magic. And anyway, in this universe, whenever 1 year ends, there is a new baby New Year that is brought in, a literal baby, and he grows up into father time, and at the end of the year he passes off to the new baby, and so on and so forth, and the old father time doesn't die, he just goes and retires to an island in the archipelago of time, picks an island, it becomes the year that he ruled over, and it freezes a snapshot in time forever, indefinitely, of that year. So, this little baby was meant to take place, well, not take place, but he was meant to take his place right at the stroke of midnight. But oh no, things happened at the nursery where he was born and everything. He was born with a top hat on, don't ask the logic there, but the nurse comes to feed him a bottle, and his hat falls off, and he has these really big, sticky, outy ears, and she laughs at him, and all the guards laugh at him, and he gets his little fifis hurt, and he crawls out the window, never mind that he was literally just born, but okay, and takes off and runs away. So what happens if the baby New Year isn't there to ring in the new year? Apparently it just keeps right on going being the current year, and time is stuck on that day forever until you get the new one. So, you know, I mean, interesting cartoon logic, but I'm not here to judge it. So it becomes somehow Rudolph's responsibility to find the baby New Year and bring him back in time for New Year's. He only has 6 days to do this in. He could be anywhere. How a baby literally took off to a whole fucking island, I don't know. But here we are. Now, there is another factor at play here. There is a giant buzzard creature named Eon, which as a little kid I didn't understand the joke. As an adult, well played. And he also, his time is running out, although in his case, at the end of the year, he will die. So, like, each eon is just like a very long period of time, but his eon is almost up. So he has a vested interest in capturing this baby and holding him hostage so it can never become the new year, therefore he won't have to die. So, you know, there's also that. So, that's all going on. Does it already sound like a fever dream? Just fucking wait. Just wait. It gets so much crazier than you could assume. So, in comes Rudolph, talking to the old Father Time, who is literally Red Skeleton, not just the voice, but they animate him to literally look like him. So, you know, there's that. Rankin and Bass did little nods like that in their different holiday things, because, like, in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, you'll notice that the postman that's voiced by Fred Astaire looks like Fred Astaire. Santa in that movie looks like Mickey Rooney because it is Mickey Rooney. Frosty the Snowman, the narrator, looks like Jimmy Durante because it is Jimmy Durante, and so on and so forth. It was little nods like that, little stuff they included for the adults that would sail over the kids' heads most likely, but I think it's a nice touch. But anyway, I digress. So, off Rudolph goes, through the sands of time, literal desert, and he meets a camel. And I think he was like quarter past, I forget what his full name is. Let me bring up the IMDb page so I don't F up the names. But, let's see, IMDb. Hold on, my dudes. With as many times as I've seen this, you'd think I would have it committed to memory at this point, and yet I don't. Okay, Rudolph, Shiny New Year. Okay. Casting info. They are not in order, but anyway. Let's see. Quarter past 5, or Quart for short. Now, he was voiced by Paul Frees, who is also Santa, who is also Eon, who is also General Ticker, who is also 1776. That will come in handy later. Anyway, so, yes, he meets this camel, literally named Quarter Past 5, and he's riding this camel, just never mind that Rudolph has his own 4 legs, objectively moves a lot faster, also he can fucking fly, but okay, it's fine. So, they're cruising through the sands of time. In comes Eon the Terrible, seeing if he found Birdie Num Nums in the desert. Decides they're not worth his time, but this is where we get a glimpse of just how ginormous he is. And I believe it's the camel that tries to explain to Rudolph the whole thing about the different islands. It's either him or it's the whale. Oh, what is the whale's name? Big Ben. So, one of the two, anyway, decides to help him trip-hop between the different islands. We will ignore the fact that there would be literally thousands of islands if we're really doing this. Whereas in this movie, it's more like about, 5. So, just have random ass years. So they go back to 1 million BC first, and they meet a caveman. They're asking him if he's seen the baby New Year, and apparently he did. And the same thing happened, that everybody laughed at the baby, and he got his feelings hurt and he ran away. Literally dinosaurs laughing at the baby. It's fine. So he decides to join their crusade to find the baby. It's all good. He is not in this Jurassic Park. Onward they go. They go off to, I think, like this storybook time. I don't know what year it's supposed to be offhand. And they go through like the different fairy tale characters, having no luck finding him until they reach the House of the Three Bears. And he was there. To the point where they decided they were gonna adopt the little guy because Baby Bear needs a friend. But Baby Bear knocks off the hat and they all laugh at him, and you know how this goes at this point. So, it do be like that. So fine. They continue on. I think somewhere in there they find a knight, Sir 1023. He's helping them. Let's see. Where else do they go? Oh yeah, literally to 1776. Baby New Year meets frickin' Ben Franklin, even though in this, he is just 1776. Copyrights, I guess. But, it's a very patriotic town, but rather than being locked in on a year, it's locked in on specifically the 4th of July. With, like, a whole-ass parade and everything for it, even though it is literally 1776. Why would they be having a parade to commemorate a thing that literally just happened that day if it were 1776? Again, I get what they were going for, I mean, this was made during the bicentennial year. Everybody was very patriotic. I get it. I get it. But, odd choice. So, anyway. Yeah, they do find him there, and there's like a whole thing with them trying to get the baby back. I forget what exactly happens. The buzzard somehow gets a hold of him. They have to try to go to the buzzard's lair to get the baby back. You can see how this unfolds. They do eventually get him back, just in the nick of time, but not before Rudolph has to give a whole pep talk to the baby about why it's okay if people laugh at his ears, and he knows what he's going through because of his nose, and he literally lived it, and they do basically a recap of the whole Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song, except they hand-animate it versus the claymation they've been using for the whole rest of the special. This is animated a la Frosty. Make it make sense? I don't know. Anyway, so they get him feeling all happy, they bring him back, everything's fine, well, dandy, all is well, the new year rings in, the end. Now, if that sounds stupid, just hear me out and give this one a shot if you have nostalgia for Rudolph, because honestly, while it is a bit of an acid trip of a movie, I appreciate what they did here. They took risks, they thought outside the box, they went beyond just Christmas characters, they really went for it. And especially in the case of the songs in this, like, they really, really did a good job here, I think. Especially with, like, the titular song, the Have a Happy New Year song in it. I love that thing, and it felt kind of like a throwback to, like, the big band crooners of, like, the 1940s, which makes sense, because, like, it always seems about 30 years before wherever we're currently at is what we're nostalgic for, so 1976, probably nostalgic for 1946. Just saying. Fits right in. So, of course, that's right up my alley, so I always loved it for that. And I just remember as a kid seeing it at my grandma's house once, and going home, telling my mom about it, and she didn't believe me this thing existed. And it took about 20 years for me to track it down again, and show her this thing. And she was like, I'll be damned, it does exist. I was like, I told you, I knew what I saw. She's like, well, I never knew. I thought maybe you dreamed it or something. I'm like, no, this existed. So, yeah, but watching it again with her that first time, not only was very validating, but also I appreciated it even more as a grown adult at that point. That's far from the only time that I watched it since no. Because my eldest nephew went through a phase where he was super into clocks and time, this, that, and the other. So you bet I was right here to show him this movie while he was still in that phase. And it was like his favorite thing for a while. It was so cute. But it does go down generations, and it still has that appeal for kids even now. So, I mean, I love that. I appreciate that. Again, Rankin Bass know what they're doing when it comes to kids' movies. So, there's all of that. I just feel like there's a lot of forgotten Rankin Bass movies that may not have aged well, but this one actually holds up surprisingly well. And I appreciate that more people are acknowledging its existence this year than I think I have ever seen in all my years on YouTube. So, I watch it every year, annually at this point, but this time I decided to actually review it. I've been meaning to review it for New Year's every year, running for like at least the past 5, and then stuff comes up and I don't do it. I'm a couple days late, but I think it's still close enough to where I could squeak it in under the wire, and it's close enough. But for me, I absolutely adore this movie, so I think for me, I'm gonna rate it probably 4 out of 5. It is rather disjointed, it is kind of nonsensical, but then again, put yourself in the shoes of somebody who would have seen Rudolph for the first time, back in 1964. That probably seemed quite disjointed and random at the time too, right? So why should this be any different? It can hold up as a classic just as well as the original, in my opinion. So, I'm just saying, the disjointedness, although, while being objective about it to give it a review, it doesn't detract from it, I don't think. So, There are certain parts in it where I'm like, that could have been trimmed down. This I could have seen more of. I would have maybe thrown in a couple more islands. That's just me. But I get it. Runtimes being limited as they are, you can only do so much with that. But I'm just happy to see it finally getting some love by somebody other than just myself. Because I really like this one, and for me, it is tradition at this point. Ever since I tracked it down again online and downloaded it for my own private collection just so I actually have it to watch every year. Because I don't know if it ever got a physical release. If it has one, I will be happy to buy it. I don't know that it ever did. Maybe. But anyway, but yeah, I watch it every single year around New Year's. And I've had people get nostalgic over it with me. I've had people be shocked that there's a Rudolph sequel they didn't even know existed. And again, there is another one after it. I don't hold the same nostalgia for that one that I do for this one, but the other one is Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July. Yeah. You can guess by that title, they were kind of phoning it in on that one. It wasn't great. But this one, though, this one holds up. This one stands on its own. And for things like New Year's Eve, while there's plenty of those, like, countdown to midnight kind of things, you don't find that many specials that are New Year's Eve ones that aren't of that caliber, that are just their own standalone thing. So it's a rarity and a diamond in the rough, and if you've never seen it, do yourself a favor. It's on Internet Archive. Go dig it up. Give it a watch. Thank me later. But yeah. So, Rudolph's Shiny New Year. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. If you're not already like to be, click subscribe, hit that notification bell icon so you never miss an upload, leave comments down below. Make sure you're following my social media accounts, my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, my Instagram, my eBay, my Reddits, everything and more, it's all down below. And if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to help support it, the donation link, as always, is down in the description. Get your name on the end card for a month from the time of donating. Anyway, guys, till next time, see ya.